Check this out.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Chino.
Brothers.
Chino.
You're like a DJ, but you're playing videos.
This is DJ Ace in the house, and you watching the Chino Brothers. Hey, don't miss their shows.
So what's your podcast about?
Hip-hop music.
Hey, what's up? This is DJ Redeem, and you're tuned in to the Chinks Brothers Show.
Look at these Chinese.
Those Chinese, they work hard.
You girls took your brother to hip-hop party?
Yo, what up? This your boy Mellow Man Ace at Padrino, and you're checking out the Chino Brothers right here. Keep it locked.
Yeah.
Woo! Welcome to
Check
the
one, two.
number one half Asian podcast in all of Bakersfield, California, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And dude, you know there's another Chino Brothers on YouTube.
Yeah, well, when I Google it or search YouTube, there's one and it comes up and it's from like 10 years ago.
No, you're talking about the guys. There was two brothers that play basketball in Chino. Some lady made a channel called Chino Brothers for her two kids. But it's two little kids, and so I'm like, do we send them a cease and desist, or what do we do here?
Hey, they might as well learn now. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
I don't know. I kind of think so.
They
Or
have
just
like
be
50 followers, though.
They have 50?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Let's wait till they get like 5,000, and then we'll say, hey, we're taking.
Once
your
they're
followers.
monetizing, and then
Yeah.
we're just I have a hard time believing they're gonna get that far, bro. It's not. I mean, crap. We've been doing this for a minute, and it ain't that easy. And trust me, if I were looking for us Chino Brothers, and I unfortunately found them Chino Brothers. What up, Evan?
Hey.
But if I was looking for us Chino Brothers and I found their Chino Brothers, I would be disappointed, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Well, are they more handsome or cooler?
No, they're little
or-
kids.
Like little kids?
Yeah, like a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old. And their mom put up this channel. They must look half Asian or part Asian or something. So they call them Chino Brothers.
Let's wait till they blow up and get a toy deal distributed through Walmart and Target. Then we'll say something like, "Hey, bro, you got to cut us in."
I have a feeling they're not going to blow up, Adley. We are both professional broadcasters. We have $1 million company that just pays our bills at the Chino Brothers. You know what I mean? You are currently a famous person in Bakersfield. What's up, man?
Panama. What's up, man?
I love seeing Panama. You are currently a famous person in Bakersfield. Bakersfield has a really tight-knit community. And granted, I'm grateful.
Love
We have
Bakersfield.
9,904 followers. I'm super grateful for all them followers and our 3,000 on TikTok and our 600 on Facebook. We got to start picking up our Facebook. But you think if we work this hard, those two little kids are going to blow up bigger than us, and now we're going to have to do something to them?
Sometimes it's just lucky. Sometimes just your face popping up on somebody's feed that's like, "Hey, you know what? I work at Disney. These kids would be great for whatever project."
And that's when we sue them.
And then that's what we say. I bet you our guest was a good lawyer. So,
well, I was just getting there, man. Y'all didn't come here to see us talk about the fake Chino Brothers. Oh, dude, let me say this, and then we'll get in with Bill Knight. Chappelle was talking about this on his podcast, The Midnight Hour. So apparently, when he signed up for Twitter originally, someone was faking to be him, but they were really funny. So he's like, "Oh well, I'll just leave it go, right?" And then this dude who was funny started clowning like all these celebrities, but they were Dave Chappelle's friend. And then the dude started clowning Cat Williams, and Dave Chappelle was like, "The problem is Cat Williams saying mean things to fake Dave Chappelle hurt real Dave Chappelle's feelings." Yeah, but yeah, man. I mean, I guess it's you got it. Or should we feel nice about it that somebody's trying to steal our name, or
you know what? I think our guest would know what to do in this situation.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Let's bring the guest.
I don't want to, knock somebody's hustle or whatever. These kids are trying or whatever. Mom's trying to make them famous, like, whoever, all Ryan's World or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time,
let's get to Bill Knight. Bill Knight, we've got a radio legend on the air here. He's gonna with a golden voice, and now you're watching these two Asian guys messing around that you see every week. Why don't we bring this fella Bill Knight on, and have him teach us all the stories about the wonderful days of radio that he spent? How about that, Adley?
I'm excited for it.
Give me 1 second. I apologize.
Right.
I'm always late on this. I apologize.
I'll do a nice intro though.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Bill Knight. I mean, the guy's mad famous doing his thing, and we're excited to have him on.
Oh, Adley, you're supposed to be.
Does that mean roll? Oh, wait, hold on, Bill. Take two. Here we
All right,
go.
go for it. There we go. No.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Knight.
Hey, one more time.
Thanks,
one more time.
you know?
One more time. Sorry, Bill. One more time. Kick him out of here.
Hold on, Bill.
All right, now give him a nice intro. There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming to the Chino brothers, Bill Knight.
Can I steal your names?
There we go. There we go.
Can I be a Chino brother?
Hey, I mean,
Absolutely.
now here's the thing: is there's two of us. So Adley is my co-Chino, and I'm his co-Chino. And so the everybody who wants to follow us, those are the cochinitos, because they're the little co-Chinos, right, Adley?
That sounds.
I have a
like
better
right.
idea. Why don't I just be the ka-ching?
There you go.
Oh, we like
Bill,
that.
You're, one,
We like that.
you're one of those guys that was born with that DJ Doc. What up, man?
What's up, man?
With the golden voice already. Good for you, man. Born for broadcasting. Good for you.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I had the voice since I used to call myself in sick to school. You know, I'd say, "Hi, this is Mr. Knight, and you know, Bill's going to be sick today." And the nurse caught on that it was me.
Oh my gosh.
I used to do the same thing, Bill Knight, but I used an Asian accent like I was my dad, and they didn't want to be racist, so they just pretended they just believed that it was him.
Well, we didn't have racism back when I went to school. You know, we did, but we didn't talk about it. It was kind of we down low. Didn't say anything.
Now, Bill Knight has the exact opposite voice, Adley, of Potato Head that we used to work with. Don't you agree?
Yes, Potato Head was our sales manager, and I'm sure you have experiences with sales managers. And his head really looked like a potato, though. It really did.
But his voice sounded like a Daffy Duck, and he wanted his voice to sound like yours. But go ahead, Bill.
No, I was going to say I worked with a tomato head. I mean, this guy, when he got mad, he became a manager. And it's like, oh my God, his face would get all red. And it almost looked like it ballooned up, and then the veins would start popping out, and you go, oh crap. Yeah, you'd run.
But that was fun later on. It was like, oh my gosh. That had to be
Oh
fun to
yeah, hey,
watch.
the talk in the production room, fantastic.
Adley, do you
know.
not envy this man's voice? You
It's
never
Bill
envied this
Knight.
man's voice?
Has the best radio voice that I know of. Like,
Well,
like
I
for real.
appreciate that. I really do.
Your voice, Bill, your voice
Yeah.
is phenomenal, bro. And I mean, I have a decent voice. I'm not going to lie to you, but my goodness, you've got a beautiful voice, sir. Now, and I'm not hitting on you. I know that
No.
it's not the direction we go on this podcast. However, I am blown away by this voice. So let's get into this. This is what we do on the Chino Brothers. We like to hear about the story. So, Ad, you want to tee up Bill here and ask him some questions?
Yeah, we got to go back to where it started and how it started, because it happens every time in the green room. We're doing like a sound check and everything a day or two before, and then Bill starts unloading this great stuff. And I'm like, oh, no, save it, because this is really good stuff. Because you started just up the street from me in Fresno. Tell us how it all began.
Well, I didn't want to do radio. I really didn't. I had idols that were doing something else, but I said, well, these guys started in radio. Maybe that's what I should do, get into radio. So I did. But it wasn't easy getting in. You're a little 14,
it's always hard,
15-year-old. Yeah. And you're trying to figure out how you're going to break in. And I did some volunteer work for the VA hospital and, did the little intercom radio station. And, I knew it was nothing, but I thought I was cool, And so we did that.
You got to broadcast over the VA, like in the VA, you got to play records or something, or?
Yeah, I was number one on the 7th floor of the psych ward, but I mean, that's where all the calls came from. I don't know why, but they did. And, I'd bring in a stack of records. We only had one turntable, a microphone, and a switch that you would switch from the turntable to the mic. So talking up a record, forget it. You're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Was there dead air?
Yeah, me. But
I mean, there had to be dead air, right? Because you're switching vinyl records and you have one microphone.
Well, that's where you do the Johnny Fever thing. You sit there and, hey, I used the name Sean Croft. Why? I didn't know. I don't know to this day, but I did. Hey, Sean Croft here playing your hits on a Saturday. And I would just come up with whatever I could say while I'm sitting there getting the 145 off and putting on the other one. And then, you drop the needle down like Johnny Fever and go, oh, God, I hope when I hit this, you go, hey, here's Sills and Crofts. Oh, there it goes.
So you were hitting the post, Bill. You weren't trying to post up.
I was hitting the scratch.
Wow, that's a phenomenal way to get into radio. So now, how does this progress?
Well, you don't air check. Of course, I didn't know what an air check was until my if you call it a real gig. There was a station in Lemoore, California, KOAD, and it had like 250 watts. It was an AM station. Some attorney owned it out of LA, and it was a throwaway station to write off. But if you wanted to go get your feet wet in radio, you would go there, get a job. And I'm going, well, what does it pay? And they're going, oh, yeah, you got the job. All right. What does it pay? Well, you get 50% sales commission. What?
50%?
50%. $1 a holler. So what I did, I asked everybody, I said, what are you guys making with this? Really nothing. So I went to the little restaurant down the road since I worked on the weekends. And I said, look, I'll read a spot for you. Talk about how great your food is. So when I get off the air on Saturday and Sunday, I can come in and have a steak dinner. So I did that.
That's the way. He learned right away, plug-ola. He understood that rule right from the jump.
It worked right away. Yeah, they didn't make anything out of it. I got to eat and got gas to get home because I drove 46 miles to get there and 46 miles to get back home.
Wait, so this was in Los Angeles, was the radio station?
No. It was in little town called Lemoore, California. There's what's the Air Force base there? The Naval Air Station.
Visalia.
There's the Lemoore Naval Air Station.
Bill Knight, you are never going to believe me, but I'm going to tell you this. I just started going to a new church on Sunday, and the pastor, I know this is going to sound like a bit, and it's not. That's where he's from. It's Lemoore, California. Yes, dude. Isn't that nuts?
Huh.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was right down the street from a little town called Armona. And but I had to figure out how to get out of there. And I guess necessity is the mother of invention. What you were talking about, and a guy that we both worked for or know, Kent Hopper, was at another station in town, which was a pretty good size regional station, KNGS, but it was country. So I'm a young kid. I like playing rock tunes. But
what year is this, Bill?
Yeah,
Oh, God, you're gonna what was this? 75, somewhere thereabouts.
Ooh, so the golden age.
What records are you playing? You're playing Kiss. What are you playing?
Oh, yeah, we're playing Kiss. We're playing Staple Singers and stuff like that. The interesting thing was there was a guy by the name of I think it was Bruce Keys or something like that. Keys was the last name. His claim to fame was he was a friend of Dick Clark, and back when Dick Clark used to do those caravan shows of the bus and take all the 60s artists around when I was in diapers. But either way, when he did that, well, he was one of the friends from the Philly area. But this guy was a musician out of LA, but he decided to find this hot blonde, buy a Winnebago, and travel the country and get these little, gigs at these stupid stations and do that. And he's the guy that hired me at that stupid station. And then one day he goes, well, I've had about enough of this. So I'm going, good luck. The guy that owned the local head shop, Brother Al, became the PD. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I like R&B. And Brother Al came in and said, yeah, we got to get rid of the Stones and stuff like that and be a little more R&B.
Brother Al was a brother, Bill? Is that what we're?
He was a brother. He's a cool guy. Yeah, downtown Hanford. He had the head shop. But the funny thing was, if you've been around Fresno, so you know about the Okies that were there in the Dust Bowl era, and a lot of people transplanted there. And so what happened is, little German boy growing up there around the Okies, you kind of talk like this, and well, if you need tires for your car, there's a tire sale going on right now. And that's how I talked in Fresno.
Man. Oh,
so
no.
Everybody thought that I was this big 350-pound black man on the radio. That's kind of funny and not funny. because there were some skinheads there that didn't want a black man on the radio. So they came by and they shotgunned the station. But before they did that, they painted Koenig on it and spray paint, put a swastika on my car. And this is on a weekend. I'm going like, this isn't right. And then I felt that it was in a trailer. And, you know, the studio was where one of the hall bathrooms were. And it had a little teeny tiny radio board. And there was a payphone on the wall to the left. And that was the request line. Somehow the engineer got the phone company and said, yeah, we'll put a payphone in there. And he dropped the 2 wires that would register the coinage. So you could click, and you could sit there and get an outside line.
Oh my gosh.
This was
real radio, man.
This is the story from hell, you know? And so, but you'd give out this payphone number and, you know, the chicks would call up and all of that stuff. But long story short, when, you know, I felt the trailer go boom, 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 boom. And then all I saw were these little lights shining through, and I'm going, 2 more inches, and that would have been me.
Oh my gosh.
I got on the phone. Now, this is a Sunday, and I'm going like, there's nobody at any station, but I looked up and I called KNGS. Kent Hopper answered the phone. And he goes, well, you know, we want somebody with a lot of experience. And I'm going, well, I've been doing this about, 6 or 8 weeks, and I'm pretty good. I really am good. He goes, okay, well, that aside, do you have an air check? What's that? You know, a tape of your show. No, I haven't recorded. He goes, cut down, you know, just the breaks. We don't want to hear the whole song. And I'm going like, I don't even see a tape deck here to do anything like that with. And I'm sitting there going, look, dude, I'm on the air right now. You know, just listen to me. You're going to love me, you know, and call me when I'm done with the show. And here's the number. And I hung up at the phone. I said, boy, that was ballsy. And dude ain't going to call. I'm done. So the next guy, you know, comes in close to 6 o'clock. And I said, dude, it's been nice working with you, but I'm out of here. My career has been going 6 weeks and it is over. So, you know, I got my headphones and stuff, and I was walking down the hall and walked out of the trailer going, man, I got to get that crap off my car now. But all of a sudden, this guy comes running down the hall, and he sticks his head out. He goes, hey, there's a phone call for you. I'm going, what? You got a phone call? I'm going, okay. I come in. It was Kent Hopper, and I had a meeting the next day, and, of course, he wanted me to come over at 9:30 in the morning. I said, well, I can't. Why? Well, I'm in school. I got classes in the morning.
So you're like a junior, senior in high school? That's awesome.
But I got a full-time gig out of it, you know, and I was, I did that, and, you know, I got it as, they counted it as an English class.
What was your shift? What was your shift when you went there?
I actually did afternoons.
Wow.
I did weekends, and then I did afternoons, and boom. I was like going, well, you know, and didn't make that much money, but it opened the door to where, it became a career, a crazy career, but a career. You know?
That is nuts, man. That's a wonderful story. Yeah, I love that story.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So how long did you work there for?
I think I was there about 2 years, and then I actually, the owner of the place decided, he goes, you need to move on in your career. And I don't know if it's because he thought that he needed to get somebody better or whatever it was, but he, basically I got the boot. And then I went to KYNO FM and did production for him and fill-in work for him. And so I worked for Drake Chenault for a little bit. And it was a station that was AOR that they changed to country. And so the call letters were KPHD. Get it? KPHD. College, drugs. Hey, well, man. Here's some, Iron Butterfly. And then you'd read the album jacket and let it go. But they changed it to country. So I was sitting there one day, and I said, well, you know what? It's K-Fud on a Saturday. Here's some Charlie Pride, and PD came in and he goes, you know what, K-Fud, that's not a bad idea. So we started calling the damn thing K-Fud.
Fud.
KFUD, KPHD.
That kind of sounds more
Oh.
country though, right? Than
Okay.
than KPHD. Hold on, wait, Bill. I want to hear more of the story, but I'm curious. Did you just come back from like you'd leave high school and then have to go right to the station?
No, what I did, hey, look, if I could find a way to slide, I'd slide. So I went in the morning and I would go do PE. I would do my English class history. And I think what would they do? They did the unit system back then. You had to have 310 units to graduate. And you graduated high school. And you had to have your certain courses in. Well, I'd gotten them all in, and I actually had something like 330 units. So I got to graduate early, but what happened is I was done with classes by about 10:15, 10:45 on certain days because they did this unit modular system to get you ready for college. And so I could sit there, and now you were supposed to stay on the campus and study, sure I did. And I would take off. I'd go get in my car and just drive away. And then I'd go to work.
Dude, I just had a bunch of comments.
My
pop
boss,
up.
he gave me my grade. A, yep. So.
All right, well, let's pause real quick, Bill, so Adlai can do some shout outs. You ready?
They just popped out of nowhere. They just went boop. But let's see. DJ Doc, howdy from Delano, California. Danny P checking in. Hey there. We
What
know
up,
Danny
Danny?
P. You know Danny P. In Samington, what are we talking about? Talking about radio stuff. And then Danny P even says, yeah, he worked at KYNO in the 80s.
On
And
Barton
let's see.
Street?
Danny P was out on Barton Street. And Samington says, what is your view on the LGBTQ plus? Might be a different show. And then Anai says, hi. What's up, Anai? She's a Groove listener. What's going on? Okay, we got. Dude, it was weird. Like 10 popped up all at once. That was
The viewer
cool.
that's on what's that app
Twitch?
called? Twitch. Yeah, the lady that's on Twitch. I don't want you to be confused by me complimenting Bill Knight's voice.
Danny says it was next to the church school.
Yeah, I don't want you to
KYNO.
be confused by me complimenting Bill Knight's voice to believe this is going to be LGBTQ conversations. We're going to talk about radio. That's what we talk about on this, or DJing. All right, so Bill, all right, so you go to this country station, you call it KFUD. How old are you at this point now?
Well, I was 16 and a half. I know when I left there, I actually moved south, but and that's a long story in and of itself. But
Yeah, you got the baton, bro.
I
You might
did
as well
all this
tell us.
stuff when I was a teenager. Most guys got in radio. I don't know, something dropped about 14 years old, and you get this big voice, and then all of a sudden, hey, I'm going to be a DJ. So there you are. You end up on the radio. There are a lot of guys like that. There's a guy that does all the used to work for me in Pittsburgh. Ed Weigel, big famous voice, but he worked for me when he wasn't a big famous voice. But that's what happened to him. He had a big voice when he was a young kid in school, and somebody said, why don't you come over here and do some commercials? And then he ended up being the guy that replaced Telly Savalas on those commercials where what are they, those casino commercials? And now he does all the WWE stuff. He's the voice that does all of that. And I'm like going, dude, you worked for me and you did better than me, Chief.
Wait, now were you in Pittsburgh, California, or Pittsburgh, PA?
I didn't know there was a Pittsburgh, California. No, I was in Pittsburgh, PA.
Where radio station were you at?
RRK. Actually, I went there originally to put WMXP on the air, with the crew that went there. And I was part of that startup crew. We had a lot of problems making that station go because we had an indecisive owner as to the direction, a manager that was fighting, secretly with the owner and the consultant. So you'll love this story. At that radio station, they used to do a thing called a listen line because the consultant was down in Florida and he wanted to hear the jocks live. So the engineer installed a listen line so he could dial in and hear you. Well, the problem with that is the management there wanted to be a top 40 station and go after B94. And but the consultant that came in said, nah, this crew that's there, they're top 40. We need to be an AC station, and go after, the 34 to 44-year-old women. And that's what we want to do. So his answer to that was 2 sets of music logs, 2 sets of liners, and you never knew when they'd come in and change them. I'd be on the air rocking away, and all of a sudden, Waylon would come in and he'd sit there and take the music log away, and he'd take all the liners and put in a whole new set of stuff. And I would be going from something really rocking into something really wimpy.
Joni Mitchell.
Yeah, well, that would have been rocked for what they were trying to do.
Oh, wow.
And I never knew what the rhyme or the reason was. And one day I was in doing an air check session, where they sit down and they go over your show. And Waylon was cool because he would sit there, he'd play the break, and he'd look at you and he goes, so what do you think of how you did that break? And I ended up, pointing out flaws that I should have never pointed out. I would tell on myself, but that's how it worked. And I was in the office one day, we were doing that. Then we were cutting up around things. And all of a sudden, the desk in the corner of his room, the lamp turned on by itself. And he goes, stop right there, hold it. And he opens his drawer and he grabs the music logs, opens the other drawer and grabs all those liners, and he runs out of there to go to the studio. And he goes in, I think Rich Hawkins was on the air, and he switches everything out. It's like, and he had a famous line though, and nobody ever got it. And I figured out what he was trying to tell us, but he always used to sit there and say, hey, look, be yourself. And here are the liners, how disc jockeys read the same stupid thing over and over and over again. And he would go, look, ad lib verbatim.
Well, I like that.
What he meant to say was read it the way it's written, but make it sound different every time. Make it sound like you're saying it, that it's coming from you genuinely. But
I thought he was saying you can say whatever you want as long as you're saying what's in the print.
No, he didn't say that. You had to read it verbatim. Trust me, if you didn't read it verbatim, you were screwed.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But did you ever figure out why they were switching the formats?
Because the owner thought we were doing
they thought they were doing AC, and they were doing a rock
the consultant station. And the manager and the PD were going, no, we got to rock. So I'm like going, oh, what did I get? But I had a contract, so I didn't care, and it had a contract and a poison pill.
Bill, did you ever meet Myron Cope when you were out here?
Myron Cope. I didn't meet him, but he was interesting. He's famous for the crying towel and
terrible towel.
Yeah, and then the wave your weenie wildly, the green weenie.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're sitting there going, what the hell is a green weenie? They made these big green weenies. And when they were like in playoffs or something like that, they would take those weenies and wave them. And the disc jockeys in town had a field day with that because, what a way to sit there and get some innuendo on the air. And the people didn't complain. Hey, I'm stroking my green weenie right now. Get ready for the game.
Oh, geez, that's great.
And I'm drinking an Orange City, so I'm good to go.
What neighborhood did you live in, Bill, when you were out in Pittsburgh?
I actually lived in an area called Cranberry. Actually, when
I know Cranberry.
Moved there, it was
I
called
live in
Mars.
Polish Hill, Bill. I live in Polish Hill, Pittsburgh.
All right.
Yeah, so Adelaide's in Bakersfield, but I'm in Pittsburgh. That's why I'm asking you these Pittsburgh questions. But please continue. I apologize.
Well, no, I was just saying. I actually lived in a little town. It was originally called Mars, and
I know
Mars properly. Well, you know where Mars is. Mm-hmm. It's got a little flying saucer there in the little triangle in the park there, and everybody comes to town to see the flying saucer.
It's in Pennsylvania, Ed.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but but it was Cranberry, and so I liked it there. I had a good time.
But you would travel down to the city every day to broadcast?
Oh yeah. Well, before they had what the expressway and all of that. When I was there, you had to go McKnight Road
Yeah, you had to take
all the
19.
way up.
Yeah, you had to take 19 the whole way down.
Yeah, and that was a grind to get there. So hey, I got to be in at 9 o'clock. Okay, so I'm getting up at 5:30,
Oof.
and I'll get a shower, get some breakfast. I'm on the road, because 2 lanes and a big city. It was
Yeah.
bumper to bumper. It was tough.
Yeah, where my shop is, Adelaide, that's on Route 19. And I was like, why is this called Route 19? They're like, oh, this used to be the only way you can get into town. I was like, how could you have all these people in Steel City getting into town on this little tiny
mess.
little thing? So
Oh,
wow,
yeah.
man, that's really neat. How long did you do radio in Pittsburgh, Bill?
From 88 to 97.
Oh wow. Long
Yeah,
run.
when I left Mix, I went over to where did I go? I went to I want to say I went to Wish for a little bit, the which was a good station. And then I got a call from somebody that said, "Hey, will you come help put on a station in Houston?" And so I did.
Oh.
I did it as a project thing. I thought maybe it would lead to a pretty good gig for a guy by the name of Reagan Henry. And but it was a jazz station. And I had fun. I didn't know anything about jazz, and I still don't.
Jazz is
Well,
fun though, like
It's cool. It's cool. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you're playing artists like Sadal Watanabe on KJAZ, and you're sitting there and you're doing your thing. And I forget what her name was. There was a beautiful woman. Her name was Dominique that did the traffic. So I would always sit there and call her Domino or something, and kid around with her. And but she ended up on one of the TV stations, and she was like the hot chick on TV. And so, but it was Houston was fun. But then when I came back, I worked at EZE for a while, and I helped them find God and become a Christian station.
Huh.
And I did that, and then after that, I left to go one flight of stairs up Parkway Center to program. Well, actually, we were on Mount Washington. I moved it, and RRK, and which used to be the old Magic 97. It was
Okay.
a classic rock station, and
Yeah.
and I'm the one that everybody hated because we had Jim Quinn in the morning, and I was the champion of conservative talk, and but he was the one that came up with the idea to nail those 2 pieces of wood together of conservative talk and classic rock. You go, that's oxymoron, because these guys were hippies, and what do they care about conservative talk? But the theory is that they were young and wild, and they want to relive their days of wildness of youth vicariously through the music. But they became conservatives when they had children, had notes for houses, and all of a sudden their perspective on life changed, and which was true. It did work that way, but it was a tough sell getting things going for Jim. But when it took off, he went everywhere for a while.
Wow. Is that Fresno, or was that?
No, Pittsburgh.
That was still in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Huh?
What
Really?
happened?
Okay.
When did WDVE come around then?
Well, DVE, if you recall, is America's first rock station. DVE was, I think, owned by ABC. They had been around for a while. And
I haven't been in Pittsburgh my whole life, Bill. I'm from West Covina. I've only been here for 20 years. So, like, you're telling me history about my city. I love the city, though. And so that's why I keep asking these questions. I apologize, but go ahead.
Oh,
well,
that's
no,
cool.
DVE, just so you know, stood for the dove. It was the dove. That was kind of like the symbol of rock back in the day. So DVE. Now they got Chris Corley, who worked there. A lot of these big legendary guys that were and some are still a part of rock, that you hear the big voices that would, KFBI, or DVE.
That's exactly
They
what that's what their
started
sweepers
there.
sound like, dude. That's exactly what their sweepers sound like.
Yeah, they do that, and the one thing you didn't want to do competing with them is sound exactly like them. So you're like going, wait a minute, that's how I learned to do it. Now I can't do it that way, you know. But they had great talent. They were good with their talent. Sean McDowell, who recently retired from there, good guy.
Yeah.
And Michelle Michaels that did the middays. I used to pick on her. Never actually met the woman, so but she was a great talent. I picked on everybody. I've always done that all through my career. As a matter of fact, one of the guys you worked with at KNZR, Lugnut Larry, he was a great guy.
Rest
God
in
bless
peace.
him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he was actually in Lafayette, Louisiana, and he worked at KSMB.
Yep.
And I worked at a station called KVOL, and we had like a 23 share, and it was the number one top 40 station at the time. And but you had single owners then in markets. You didn't have these big conglomerates. So there was a lot of guerrilla warfare that went on.
Yeah, that's how we did it when we were in radio, when we were kids. That's how we did it.
Oh, yeah, you'd sit there and you'd get the hotline number to a radio station. And some guy is sitting there doing his thing. And then he got you, and you're thinking, well, this guy thinks he's hot stuff, man. That was a fantastic break. So you'd call him up and go, the listeners' ears are bleeding from the screw you just gave them. But you had to be ready for someone to do it back to you.
Yeah.
So we picked on, a lot of the guys that way. There was one guy, he was going to college to be a forest ranger. But he was kind of, he was really out there, and he was a space cadet. And the other thing we used to do is monitor stations. Why, it's pretty easy to figure out there. Yeah. Hey, okay, it's your week to do it. Write down everything they say and every song that they play. What? Yeah, do it. So you would do that. And so, one time we decided to toast this guy at this other station, and we sat there. I didn't know he was going to be so stupid to do what he did, but I sat there and called up and said, yeah, you just played this. That was a power rotation. You followed that up with, and I gave him his clock, his format clock for the hour. So he kind of like blew off about 2 breaks in a row that he was supposed to talk. And I thought, oh, this guy's befuddled. And all of a sudden he comes in and he's playing something that was not a part of their format. He goes, how do you like the new format now? That was his last night on the air at that station.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
Was that
himself fired.
Was that before playlists though, Bill? Or was that or were playlists a thing at that point?
Well, not too many stations had you had a clock and you had record bins, because come on, we didn't play records, we played the cartridges.
Okay.
At the radio station I was at. But
the carts.
Yeah, and then I'll have to dig out an old picture of KVOL, and it was the classic radio station, and I was that young smug guy sitting there, the feet up. I looked like a Johnny Fever sitting there in the stacks of records on the wall behind.
Dude, I adore that
That's
keep
awesome.
referencing WKRP, Bill. That's my absolute favorite show when I was a kid. Here's the thing. So I love that show. I love the Three Stooges, and I love MMA and boxing. And Adlai is moderately in love with those things. He's not as fully in love with them as I am. And I try to keep converting him.
Well, you know where the Stooges came from.
Pittsburgh.
Did they come from Pittsburgh?
Correct.
Oh, really?
I know they were revived
Just
in
guessing.
Pittsburgh. I know they were revived in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, Mo is from that area. Curly, I don't know. But, there was a guy that used to come by the studio, and he had the yak down, and he'd come in and be a guest all the time. It was always fun. It was a lot of fun with these guys. Pittsburgh was a great town to live in, work in, and do radio in. But it's a very brutal town. If you got into Pittsburgh, you achieved something. If you got fired in Pittsburgh, it ended up out of a job. It's kind of hard to re-land in that town. It's just it's a very,
once you're out, you're done.
Yeah, it's a very unforgiving town.
But Adlai, hold on real quick, Bill. Adlai, didn't you have a question for Bill? You just said dude, and you were going to ask him something. What were you going to ask him?
I was just talking about the hotline thing. Just people watching that when you got hotlined, you were just like, crap. It was never anything good.
It was
right?
awful.
It was always like, crap, I messed up or something happened. Or he's listening and he caught me changing the playlist or doing something. Like, it was never a good thing to get hotlined, right? I mean,
No, it was never a good thing to get hotlined. And when I was a program director, I had actually with a guy that he was from England, and he taught me a few things about radio and different things. And he goes, you got to keep them on their feet. You never let them know what to expect. So, and with that, sometimes I would set the alarm to get up at 1:30 in the morning, and I'd drive to the radio station and just pop in and go sit in my office and quietly go in. And then all of a sudden, you got a DJ dancing down the hall, and all of a sudden they dance by your office and they look, what? And there you are in there, and you got the radio on, and they're sitting there going, and it was not to really do anything to them, but just to let you know, you never know when I'm going to show up or I'm going to be listening.
That would suck.
As a PD, what were you looking for? Obviously change the playlist or things like that, but what's like one of the worst things you walked into?
Probably in Pittsburgh. There was a guy that worked on LTJ. I won't mention his name, and I won't mention the guy in DVE. They were good friends, and they worked the overnights. So, that how'd you know?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, I didn't know that these two guys were clowning around on the air. And so LTJ was a light FM station. DVE is the rock station, play some Joe Satriani and, follow it up with a little Clapton and whatever, because they were kind of based on that blues guitar sound.
Yeah, but don't you disrespect Donnie Iris, okay? So go ahead.
Hey, Donnie, man,
That's right.
I had Donnie at a concert one time in the Seven Springs. We did a show there, and but anyway, they were based on that sound. But these two guys would swap records, because I had the rock station right next door to LTJ, so they could go in and basically get the same playlist that the DVE had, and I don't know where the DVE guy got all the stuff, so I didn't know anything. But then they'd hotline each other, and these stupid little girls would call, and which was actually not very good. It's a big problem. And I get a call one day, and it's from a very, very, very disgruntled mother.
Oh,
and
boy.
I'm like going, oh. And so I'm sitting there going, well, I will handle it, and I will call you back and tell you what the resolve is. And I had no idea where to begin, but I was going, sure glad he's not on my station. But so I go over next door, the office right next door, and I said, John, we got a problem. What's the problem? Well, and he goes, nah, that can't be true. I said, John, are you up at 2 a.m. monitoring your station? I said, I know I'm not monitoring mine at 2 a.m. I'm sleeping, but anyway, long story short, I pulled some log tapes, and all of a sudden I heard what was going on. And then I found, phone tapes where somebody was a little bit careless leaving them around. So then I had to call a very big national PD, a very important guy, and say, you got a problem. So do I. And, we're not going to go have a drink over this, I'm sure. Here's the deal. And he was pissed that I called him, but he was happy too, because that could have been a lawsuit.
Oh, yeah.
So that's 100%. The worst thing, when you ask a question like that, that's the worst case scenario. And I mean, when that mother called,
I was
disc jockeys are disc jockeys. I mean, I'm sorry, some of these guys, it was a different day, even before then. And these guys were whorehounds.
Scumbags, I say.
Oh,
man, I'm telling you right now, Bill Knight, if you would have been our program director when we were doing overnights, you would have fired us. I promise you that. I promise you that. That's why when you're like, I was like, that would suck. Think about that, Adelaide. Some of the crap we did overnight when Ernie had an overnight shift and me and you would show up after the club.
Yeah, it was.
You're too embarrassed to tell. Bill Knight
Don't tell
about it.
on yourselves now.
It was,
and look,
it was
you know
fun, but it was, yeah. Because you forget you're a radio DJ, you're about having fun, but you forget that it's a business. At the end
It
of the
is a
day,
business. Oh, I've
right?
heard that lecture before. Do you understand? This is a multi-million-dollar business. I'm sitting there going, really? Then could fix the tape machine because that thing has been broke.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
I'm using a payphone for a request line. Come on,
damn right.
we had
get
three
a real
stations.
phone.
3 stations and 2 recording studios, bro. How am I supposed to produce commercials around here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a studio that used to be a bathroom.
Radio is so cheap, man. We had a homeless dude, Bill. No lie, we had a homeless dude living behind our radio station.
Yeah,
and he had 2 dogs. Our radio station was in a trailer in the deepest ghetto of Tucson. And it was like ridiculously scary to be there at night. But I promise you this, you would have fired us if you were our. I'll tell on ourselves just a little bit, not too much. One night, Bill Knight, we invited
Bill Knight. That rhymes.
Yeah, one night, we put out a call. Hey, come on down if you work at a certain type of establishment meant for dancing, and this girl shows up, bro, and she had a broken leg, so she couldn't dance. So she just sat down next to Adelaide, just pulled her top down, dude. You remember that, Adelaide?
Yeah, she had water on the knee. It was swollen. Her knee was swollen like a cantaloupe.
That was disgusting.
It was big and round. And I was like, what the heck, dude?
And that was one of our tame nights, Bill Knight.
Well, I'll give you a Pittsburgh story of now I wasn't the program director. Rich Hawkins was the program director, but we hired this guy, or he hired the guy, DC Taylor. Great guy, beautiful person. But DC, and sorry to tell on you, but he would admit it if you look him up. Back in his younger days, he would sit there. His job was to push it to the limit as far as he could.
Wait, he was a program director?
No. He was the nighttime jock.
Okay.
So we wanted him, or they wanted him, to be rude and irreverent, and you know what innuendo is? Well, let's take it a couple of steps beyond it. So you can, when you lean over the fence, go ahead and touch the mud on the other side. So he would do that, but we would go out and do public appearances, and the women, they came out for him because, this is disgusting. So please have discretion on this one. But he would sit there and go, look, I've got these tickets to so-and-so concert. Next woman that comes here and gives me her panties and lets me eat them right there. And he would eat the panties. And
wow,
she won the tickets. And
like he would swallow them.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, that's the next part of the story. There was a night that, a day that we get a call, going, hey, Knight, you got to hold over a little bit. DC's not going to make it in. Really? Yeah, he's in the hospital.
Oh, man.
Because he's got a blockage. He's got women's panties all down his.
Oh, my gosh.
And, there's probably a woman, it would be older now, but she'd probably go, yeah, I do remember that.
Oh, man.
On the old mixed jams,
I hate to see what that woman looks like right now.
Was that before thongs? Because thongs, there wasn't a lot of material.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Well, look, pretty much back then it was butt floss, but either way,
Yeah, you're not trying to ingest that, Adelaide.
I do.
It's not the edible kind.
Brave man. Wow.
He's a great guy. He really is a great guy. He had some hard luck. And, when I was down in Florida, he was working at one place. I got him a gig with us. He joined the SS. That's what they used to call us. I was with the crew that kind of did that big push on the whole voice tracking thing that everyone said killed the business, and, there were advantages to that, and there were disadvantages.
It's your fault, Bill Knight. It's your fault.
It wasn't my fault. I'm just kidding. I I was just doing my job, but
Somebody had to do it. Might as
What
well
year
do
was
something
this?
with
What year did the
Angel's
voice tracking start?
well, voice tracking had been around a little bit, but the system that's pretty much become the Cadillac, the Rolls Royce of it started in about 96. We did it in 97. And it was a way we didn't fire anybody. If they came in and put in that unit, it made it easy for the talent that was on the air, because they didn't have to worry about how many times have you sat there and you were on the air and you didn't queue up a record or have it ready to go, and you're sitting there, you got your show prep, you're talking to somebody, and all of a sudden you hear that distinct lyric that goes, oh, the record's fading.
Yeah.
And you're trying to find something real quick, and then that mic comes on and you're sitting there and you're talking, to sit there and get make the change and hope to God, that the CD queues up and it'll be there. If not, you got to talk and then if you got the wrong track, or something goes wrong with the CD.
How about this one? Have you guys ever done this one? You grab the jacket and you open it up and the CD wasn't in there. Has that ever happened to you?
Oh yeah.
Oh
that's
man, I want to
happened.
murder, dude. I want to murder Malix for that, bro. Like that was one of the DJs work with us. Like you open it and you got to play that track, but you already pulled your stack, so it's just the next one on the stack, man. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Just take it down, open it up, put it in the CD case. Well, a female caller called, so I got a little bit sidetracked before I opened the CD case. Forgive me. Next thing you know, bro, you got that dead air, Dave.
Well, the worst thing that can happen to you, with the automation systems that they have, they're all on computer. It happened to me. If you ever watched the old Twilight Zone, there was the guy that used to, Artie Johnson, I think, played the DJ at this station, and he came in to do the all-night show, and he starts doing his thing, and all of a sudden, the song that he's playing changes into like a devil record, and he's like, oh, whoa. So he changes the song, and it's a devil record, same tune.
Gosh.
And everything he does, and that was the whole gist of the story. So how could that happen today? Well, it can if the computer dumps, the hard drive goes, boop, and there's no backup. Then you're sitting there going, now, I was going, well, thank God, at KLC, we got a whole wall of CDs, so I'll just go grab a CD. But they were numbered. They weren't alphabetized.
Oh, no.
And I didn't have the master list because it was on the computer that decided to, crash. So, you're guessing as to, so you go and you go, well, let's grab this. I can't play that. And you're sitting there. So what you had to do is find a song, just shut everything off and just find a song. And then once you find it and get it going and you do your thing, now you got to go find about 10 CDs to stack up and have them in order. Otherwise, you were in a panic mode. And let me tell you, all the professionalism goes to hell when something goes wrong. But that's when you can brush up on your comedy. That's about all you got.
Yeah, you start tap dancing for a couple of minutes trying to figure it out. Oh boy.
But don't you ever notice?
Fun.
It always happens when like you think you're gonna have a bomb shift. Like you go in and you're just like, dude, I'm gonna nail every one of my talk breaks. I'm the man. Boom. Like you're so like just ready to fire off. And then just everything goes wrong, and you sound like Pee Wee Herman. Like you don't sound anything nice. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and live radio, you have the I call them mind farts. You're sitting there going, you might have notes of what you want to talk about, so at least you got a list of something to follow to do your little rap. I got 27 seconds. I'm going to make this sound so cool, but there are times that you're doing stuff and you're about halfway through and then a mind fart goes off, blows that entire thought right out of your mind. And you're sitting there going, and what do I say? It's like you lost your voice. You're just done. Or you say something stupid. So, that is one nice thing.
That's when you just say the name of the track of the song. You know what I mean? It's
and
like,
here,
this is Pheromone.
Yeah. And there's all kinds of fun things and antics that have gone on in the past. Radio's not as fun as it used to be because I think because of the mistakes, the way things worked, and disc jockeys can't help themselves but to be children,
So I was going to ask, what was your favorite era of radio? Because you were in it before us, and I've always daydreamed of being in radio in the 70s and 80s. Me and Adlai were in radio in the 90s, and now Adlai's still in the radio now. But you got to span all those decades. What was the best decade for radio?
Well, I think, it wasn't a decade I worked in. Probably the 60s were. And most people don't realize it. And because the consultants came along and they can ruin anything. They sit there and go, people want to hear the music. They don't want to hear you. Well, we did a survey and people want to hear the weather and the song, and you're like going, and every consultant has a different, set of rules. And, if you don't follow the rules, or even if you do, and the numbers go down the toilet, you know whose fault it is. It's the DJ. It's
right.
It's not the
consultant.
Yeah, you stupid idiot. You homogenize the radio station. I get playing the hits, and I was a preacher of the hits. But you've got this big global pile of great tunes, and then the consultant comes in and goes, "Well, we're going to take those 2,000 songs and we're going to test them all." And then all of a sudden they go, "Well, these 1,200 didn't make the 800 cut, so they're out of here. So these are the songs you play based on their popularity." Then all of a sudden, okay, we had a good book. Let's do another one. Let's test the current songs we're playing. Well, what about some other songs to bring in? They're freshening up. No. We know they're no good. Well, pretty soon you boil this big rock down to a frickin' pebble, and you're playing, hey, we're playing the top 3 hits of all time right here on K-Hit Radio.
Yeah,
we say hit because there's only one song.
Average radio listener only listens for 17 minutes, so don't worry. We can keep playing these same 12 songs over again. It's like, please stop doing that.
Yeah. So, we kind of killed it ourselves. And then, the radio used to be a thing too, where even in the commercials, if you're going to part the Red Sea, part the Red Sea. It's theater of the mind.
Yeah.
Write a script that is really compelling and says something and spark the imagination. And if you can do that, you've got a listener and you've got a customer. But if you just sit there and go, "Hey, we're having a big sale this week. You don't want to miss it. It's the biggest sale of all sales that's ever been in this town. So come on in and take advantage of the super sale going on this weekend." Put some echo there. Weekend. Thank you. Thank you for that.
That's great. Mike was really good at the script writing, but there were times you're like, "Ooh, that's over the line."
Well, yeah.
But
so we're in the
catching.
We're in the 90s, so we still could get away with stuff, you know what I mean? And it was still fun, and there were still mom and pop radio stations, and
but it went to hell in the 90s. That's when it took the turn, because what happened was, if you remember, it used to be, if you went for a big company to work for, I'm going to go work for this company. Even CBS and NBC, they owned 7 AM stations and 7 FM stations, not in a city, across the entire country. And they might own a TV station. That was it. And they might own a newspaper. And that was your limit, because you didn't want to give control of the media to one damn company.
That's right, George Soros.
Yeah. So you got deregulation going on. And then, how they got around the ownership thing. You did the lease management thing. So you didn't own the radio station, but you leased it. And then all of a sudden they changed the rules. So deregulation, the 90s came along, and now all of a sudden, and I remember the people, saying, "Oh, this is going to give more diversity to radio, introduce new formats that, we're not so worried about, shallow playlist. We're going to have all kinds of stuff." Oh, they said that back in the 90s, and I've yet to hear it. The only thing I've heard is a repeat of the same thing over and over and over again. And let's play 20 commercials in a row. So
Well, and then also
Yeah,
there's no
yeah.
place for kids to break into radio anymore because everything's automated. So you don't have a weekend overnight kid that gets to,
Mm,
try his chops out. You have veterans. Adley's a 20-year veteran. Danny's a 30-year veteran. It's like there's no way
yeah.
for a kid to break in anymore,
well, I would say there is, and that would be what we're doing right now, the podcast.
Yeah.
You can do a radio station online. Problem is, music licensing, they're going to choke you down. If they catch you, they're going to yank it from you.
Mm,
But what you can do, you can do the podcast, and you can sit there and do what the most important thing is. It's the power of the spoken word. Anybody can play, this record right here. And your competition goes, boy, they really sound good playing that record. We're going to play that record.
Exactly.
Great. But what they can't
Yeah.
do is copy, sketch what you say or Adelaide what you say, because that is original. If you sit there and put some thought to it, and you
Mm,
say something, have an opinion. If you
mm,
got an opinion, you got gold, and sell it. I
mhm.
mean, that's probably why I like to do the podcast thing that I do uh, with a fellow by the name of Jim Harrington.
Yeah, plug the podcast, Bill. Come on, tell us about this beautiful podcast you got.
It's a good podcast, but I will be honest with you. It's not for everybody because it is a political podcast.
Mm,
I'm passionate about the world that our kids are growing up in and the way things are, and I have questions. I don't have a lot of answers. I have questions. And so the idea is just to say, here's the news, here's the story, convey it like it's us talking, and give our opinion on it and leave it at that. And the hope is that people will get off their lazy butts and start paying attention to what's going on. But we're so
mm,
happy with things being the way they are. You really don't pay attention to the news. Why is it that every news station, when a story comes out about whatever it is, they all read the exact same script?
mm,
ABC, NBC, MSNBC, they all read the same script, and they all, if there's a jab word in there, because they like to use big words, and
mhm.
you're going like, what does that word mean? And when you figure out what it means, they still use it, but then they come up with a new word because they're selling sensationalism. They're selling an agenda and opinion, or
Bill
not an
Knight.
opinion, an agenda.
Bill Knight, have
Mhm,
you ever met
mhm.
Jazz McKay before?
No.
Oh man, he's an incredible broadcaster, but he was a conservative broadcaster. Adley worked with him. Tell him about Jazz.
Jazz McKay was at KNZR, but he's maybe it's 4 or 5 years ago now that he was there. When I came on to Groove and Alpha Media in Bakersfield, he'd already left, but he got caught up. I mean, he shared his story on the Chino Brothers 6 months ago, maybe,
Yeah,
and
he came on the
it
show.
seemed like a nice enough guy, but
He
he
got
would
called a
push the
racist.
buttons. Yeah, he would.
Yeah,
I
he
read
got
about the guy. I know
Yeah.
who you're talking about now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
he's got a reputation that follows him around, but you know what? He was not afraid to speak his mind and have an opinion. You don't have to agree with it,
but Bill Knight,
and the
we
beauty is to, have conversation.
but we wanted to have that conversation because we have a very you know, ethnically Latino audience. That's we have a large Latino audience, and he had been called a racist against Mexican people, and so I wanted him to come on here and give his side of the story because I don't like when people just blackball people for no reason. I want to hear the whole story.
Mm,
Now I might not like what happened in the story. Something in the story might even offend me, but here's how this works in our country. At least is what I was explained to when I was a kid. We're both allowed to have our opinion, but two, an explanation of what happened in the situation. And when he explained it to me, Adley, I'm not gonna lie to you, I did not think he was a bigot personally.
and because it was not to pull away from Bill Knight here, but he went on Facebook Live, said he'd been drinking, and he's like, I don't have a job right now, and he's like, oh man, another Spanish station, and that was kind of went out there like, oh, he's saying that there's too many Spanish stations or something like that. It's
Now,
so he
granted,
kinda,
Well,
well, hold on real quick. This is what I want to say real quick, and I apologize. as a broadcaster, I could kind of understand what he's saying, because like the job of broadcaster is falling away. You understand?
Yeah.
So like, and I don't want to call myself a broadcaster. I have a T-shirt that says ex DJ, but I almost feel like you never an ex DJ. But neither here nor there. I can understand where he's coming from. That being said, also he like we pressed him. I don't want to say hard, Bill, but like I asked him some pretty like, hey, white man, why you trying? You know, like that type of kind of question. Like, and he didn't buckle. He was pretty cool about it. And I was like, okay, this dude ain't a racist. Because if he was, he would have bucked back. Like, what are you trying to say? You know, like I acted a little more militant than I actually am. But I just wanted to see what his reaction would
there's
be.
nothing wrong if we want to make fun of each other, as long
Yeah, I
as we know
agree.
we're making fun of each other.
Yes.
His point is, there's another this station, another that station. He is kind of right in that aspect. But, things, sometimes the tides change one way or the other, but they shouldn't change to suit somebody's political agenda because they're trying to get favor with somebody or things. Or they want to control, a narrative, and that's wrong. So I do remember that issue coming up. I heard about that, but a lot of people are afraid to speak their mind and speak their opinion because somebody is going to come along and go, you racist, see? Oh, you're a homophobe. You're a Nazi. And see, now when somebody calls a Nazi, I'm German, and, so I take it personal. So I get the race thing if somebody sits there and calls somebody an intended slur name, because that hurts. It cuts deep, and I get it. So it's not right. But on the same behalf, I like to think that as a society, we would, and I hate to take your show political, but
No, please.
But I hate to think that as a society, or like to think that we've evolved over the years. When you're a kid, kids are innocent. They don't see black. They don't see white. They just see another kid, but they might learn from their parents. And then one day they sit there and go, why is he a different color than me? And then, then all of a sudden that's when evil steps in and manipulates. But I think as we evolve, we start to look beyond that. But I also think there are people that play games and sit there and go, well, I've never been that way. And, you're a racist and you need to get over this. And we need to do this. And it's like, oh, come on, give me a break.
Right.
Let's just be people. And if somebody makes a mistake, correct them, and when I say correct them, point out the error, and hopefully they get it. And let's move on, and instead of, you look back, there's racism going on today, and it does seem to be that the people that are committing the racism have been doing it for several hundred years. And I'm not going to get into, now our podcast is called It's Another Day. If you look it up, you'll say Jim and Bill, it'sanotherday.com. You'll get the podcast, you'll get the episodes. You listen to we talked about the balloon thing that was going on.
Yeah.
Bill Knight, I'll also say this. If you ever want the Chino brothers on that podcast, we'll be glad to come. I got some wild political opinions, man. If you want to hear about what I think about Nancy Pelosi's husband, and just in case, here's a spoiler alert. I think he's gay. Adlai keeps arguing with me about this. But if you want to hear some wild political opinions, you invite the Chino brothers on that show, my brother. And I tell you right now, I'll give you every conspiracy theory in the Chino brothers book that I'm trying to convince Adlai of.
I think Adlai's, I've talked to him. He's actually conservative, but I think that he's also he doesn't want to offend anybody. You play it safe.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. That's an opinion. And
if that's the
look at it
polite
this
way
way
of saying he drinks the Kool-Aid, then I agree with you, Bill Knight. Adlai believes everything on television. I keep trying to tell him about this stuff.
I don't think he believes everything on television.
I'm teasing Adlai. I'm teasing.
Hey, well, I wrote
a
great script for that, Maxwell's Money, and that was on the conservative station. I don't know if you remember that one, Bill.
Yeah.
The money one.
Yeah.
What was the script for, Adlai?
It was to win one of the guys' money, and and it was like,
We're
"Oh,
giving
that
away
guy's rich."
Maxwell's money.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
guy's rich. I
yeah,
could buy some Hunter's art with that money.
yeah.
It was a
Yeah,
lot
there
of
you
fun.
go. Now there, yeah,
Uh,
Hunter's art. But sadly, I know a lot of people that just they woke up one morning and they said, "I'm an artist," and I'm like going, "Really? Where'd you go? What's your technique?" It's abstract. I throw some paint on it, but sadly, there's a lovely lady, very very liberal, but lovely lady, and she's got problems with cancer, but she always comes back, and so I applaud her with that because she's always been able to. She's had like ovarian cancer now for the fifth time, and I'm like going, could you just get that whole damn thing removed down there?
Oh
If I had it
yeah,
that many
man.
times,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
you know. But bless her heart, she always gets, she's got that will to fight and live. Very creative, but yeah, she started in radio on a lie. First in the '80s, she said, "I'm going to be a singer." And she sang at clubs. Now, her dad was a pretty famous broadcaster in Pittsburgh.
Oh,
He's gone now, but so she decided, well, I'm going to get in radio. I'm working in New York as a singer, trying to make it.
This is Nancy.
And huh?
Who is this?
I'm not saying the name because I
Oh,
don't want to.
okay, okay.
I don't want to start anything. But she's hilarious. But what she did is she walked into WNEW, and now she was a tall, very good-looking woman. So any guy would sit there and go, "Yeah, and what do you want?" "Oh, yeah, so what can I do for you?" And she was able to lie about everything she ever did, which was nothing what she did. She had no experience at all. And she got herself a full-time gig, first time at WNEW in New York. And but she was a very, she's a good communicator, good people person. I thought she was okay, and if she hears this, she will sit there and go, "Okay, okay." And she'll listen to your grammar and correct everything. So she's a mom in that aspect. But
that wouldn't
but
be
anyway,
fun. That wouldn't be fun to work with in radio.
That'd be-
a
yeah,
lot
that'd
of
be
people have
rough.
worked with her, and you gotta love her. But the point is that you can. She did it that way, and now she's doing the art thing, and she's getting $1,000, $1,500 for a painting. She likes to do trees that have eyes all over the place, and I'm like going, if I thought that many things were watching me, I would go, well, I do know in my older age, senility is going to fit me well, but that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of odd where our entire society has gone, and and I think it ate radio because
Mm.
when me and Adley were on radio, we'd write bits, and I love writing bits, but all the bits, dude, if we played any of those bits right now, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Whew.
A lot of stuff would be like, can't do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's true. But you know
Yeah.
what? You had fun. You learned from it. You took some chances. Yeah, you're still
Few
here.
death
You're still
threats.
rocking.
but they were funny. I'm telling you, we used to have Bill and I. We used to have this fake commercial for a diet pill called Tia Be Slim. It's for all the Mexican ants out there who get fat in their 20s, because they're all hot up until they're 20. Once you get to your 20s, you get fat. So we're gonna get you good looking again with this Tia Be Slim stuff. And then we had this other commercial for Paco's Love Cream. That was our program director.
Couldn't do that.
Oh, geez.
Couldn't do it now. Couldn't do
Are
it
you
now.
kidding me? Nothing we did.
It was questionable then. Yeah. Oh yeah. Mike
yeah.
got
Oh,
hate
yeah.
calls.
Oh yeah.
But
Where's Mike?
There's
Where's the
always
catch?
somebody in the market that does something like that. We had a sales guy that he was pretty wild, good guy, John. I'll just say that. But we had a club in Pittsburgh called Whiskey Dicks. I don't know if they're still there.
Yeah, they were not, but they were here when I got here.
And if you remember, they were pretty wild. And
Yeah.
so he wrote a bunch of commercials, and they were all double entendre innuendo. Whiskey Dick, here's my wife Phyllis Dick. And every dick had a pretty good name.
Yeah.
And then the stories went with it. So we did that. And then we started, Letterman did the stupid human tricks. Well, we took it to the next level at Whiskey Dick. So we would do stupid human tricks out there. And, all for a t-shirt. Don't ever open the door in a bar for people to sit there and come and do their stupid human tricks to win a stupid t-shirt. Because I remember the LCB coming to my office going, we want to talk to you about, do you have a conference room where we can play video tape? I knew that was a bad sign right there. So, I go in and I look, and, we had the human blenders, 2 guys that sat there, and they got a beer mug, and it was full of beer. And the one guy chugged it down and spit it back up, gave it to his buddy. His buddy sat there, cracked an egg and threw it in the thing, chugged it down, swished it around, spit it in the mug, gave it back to him. And they kept putting stuff, Tabasco, everything they could. They put about 8 or 9 different things in it. And finally, the one guy kind of looked around, gave everybody the eye, took it back and swallowed it. So they got a t-shirt.
Whiskey Dicks, dude. Whiskey Dicks.
And then we had the Gucci chug. And that was probably the hardest one to explain, where the guy got a Bloody Mary and the girl was wearing one of these little Catholic school dresses. And she bent over like a table, pulled up the skirt, and somebody poured the Bloody Mary. Well, you get the idea. And down the crack and through the Gucci's, and the other guy was down there to drink it. And I was like going, people can do whatever they want. And we didn't encourage that. And freedom of speech. And bottom line was we got away with it. But I was like going, oh, geez. I mean, I walked out of there sweating because, people.
You never know who's in the audience. You don't
Bill
know.
Knight, when was the last time you were in the Berg, dude?
It's been a while.
Dude, it's nothing like that anymore.
Divorce there, and it's like, my town, it's not your town, and you get the hell out. But my partner for the podcast, he lives in the Berg, so I said, you know what the hell, I need to come back and see some old friends. And
bro, if you're ever in town, look me up. I got you.
I will. When I see you in your store, you got a store there.
No, this is fake. I have a store in real life. I have a store in real life. It's a vape shop. I have 2 vape shops. But if you come back to the Berg, look me up, bro, because I love this town, but it's completely different. I got here in 2002, and it was like you were talking about right there. That greasy old dirty Pittsburgh. Oakland had a bunch of bums living there. Cranberry's in the middle of nowhere. All that stuff. Dude, it's all the way built out, the Cranberry, by now, bro. Like it's all the way built out. Downtown's all fancy. What's his name? Cuban. He came up and bought East Liberty out. So he turned East Liberty all the way around, put Google there. Like it's a bunch of startups. Google. Dude, it's a yuppie town now. Then you're gonna hate Pittsburgh. Don't come back, dude. Don't come back. You hate this place.
I do not like Google. I mean, I had a channel up on Google for our podcast, and we were just doing a show saying, well, the election's in the news again, and we talked about the election deniers. And
YouTube gets mad about that, bro. You can't be doing stuff like that.
Google, yeah.
I don't care that we had a story and we read the story, and then we said, well, it's never really been properly investigated. So we just said, hey, we said that, and they said, oh, well, that's misinformation. And I'm going like, really? And they said, yeah, we believe it's misinformation. I said, oh, you believe it's misinformation? You don't know that, but you're going to penalize me and stifle my right to free speech and an opinion. And they actually did back down on that. And I just said, you know what, yank the channel. But then for whatever reason, about 3 weeks ago, they put it back up. And then I get this note in my email going, well, you guys were, you were talking about, what was it we were talking about? There was something else that was in the news.
COVID-19.
Well,
Probably.
no,
They don't like when you talk about that,
Oh,
bro.
yeah.
They get mad when
no,
you talk
we
about
didn't
that.
talk about that. It was something else in the news, and it's actually it's a real thing going on. And they said, well, we think it's misinformation. And I said, why are you guys contacting me? We don't have the channel. Oh no, it's back up, but we're going to suspend this one show. And I'm like going, you know what? Why don't you get one of your $2,000 an hour attorneys to call me personally? Otherwise, don't contact me again, and don't contact me through my personal email because I will consider that harassment. You know, we
Yeah.
don't need Google. We don't want Google. Google can go away. So, you know, and Cuban, he can take Google and put it wherever he wants.
But here's my
I have a
thing.
suggestion, but
Here's my thing, Bill Knight. Me and Adelaide get away with it because we're minorities. See, so like when you you got to get minorities on your show, bro. Then you can say whatever you want. Because then whenever they bring some stuff up, then we're like, oh, is that how you treat the indigenous people of such and such? Whatever, bro. We just make stuff up. Half the stuff we say ain't even true, bro. They don't know. Well, according to my people, but see, we're racially ambiguous, so they don't know what my people is, right? But they're
Yeah.
too white liberal to ask us what we are, right? Because if they ask me, like, are you asking us in an offensive manner like that? See,
well, that's true. You know, hey, look, you know, I'm the whitest black man you ever met.
I know that's the problem, Bill Knight.
Yeah. Well, you know, maybe I need to go out and jeez. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. And you
Get-
know what?
Get one
Everybody has been
minority. Get one
everybody's
minority
been
on your show.
discriminated against, you know, whether it's, you know, you for being Latino or whatever, or Asian, it doesn't matter. It happens. And then they used to do the affirmative action thing. And I remember when I was young, starting out, you'd get called in for an interview and you knew you were the token white guy going to the interview because there was a quota as to what they had to do, and they had to fill the shift with either a minority or a woman. I mean, the old
Holy cow,
joke.
where was this? What market is this that they're doing this in? Because that would suck.
Well, they used to do it in Fresno, and hell, you know, I mean, there was a time it even went on in Pittsburgh. I mean,
Wow.
it's happened at
I'm sure
all
it
these
still
companies,
does.
but things. Oh yeah, it does. And I mean, you know, there was a joke that everyone used to tell. I'm not going to tell it because even though it would be relaying an old, you know, ism of the industry, somebody said, you know, Bill Knight's a racist because he said that.
All right, well, then
And,
I'll tell the joke. Two black guys and a Jew walk into a bar. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just
I'm part
kidding.
Jew. No,
I
no.
don't
Actually,
I don't disagree with a lot what you're saying, Bill Knight. The problem is I don't trust the government at all. I don't believe in the Republicans or the Democrats.
well, I
neither.
agree with you there. I think, look, I believe that they're all just out to feather their pockets, and they'll do it at our expense, and they'll sell out this country. They don't care. I think that what we see going on is nothing more than a big S show, and that's it. I saved you from having to edit out the word.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but it is an S show.
Yeah.
Because you can't make heads or tails of it. It's like, what is going on here? And when you ask what's going on here, that's when people get mad at you. It's like, how dare you ask that question? What do you mean, how dare I ask that question? All I'm asking is, if your organization is called Black Lives Matter, how come I don't see no black people at any of your rallies? I just see these white liberals and a fair amount of gay people. What's going on around here? Like, I'm just asking a question. I'm not being mean.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I mean, and you look at all the sexual identity stuff. Yeah, I'm a he, she, it, we, E-I-E-I-O. But you know, you're something.
I'm not mad about that either. But here's the problem: if you're going to be LGBTQ, I'm good. Okay, here's how I feel. I live in the United States, and we're all allowed to have our own opinions in the United States.
Right.
But I have the freedom of religion in the United States baked into the Constitution. Now, folks, if you're going to tell me I don't get to have the Constitution, then you're going to tell me that you're trying to withhold the rights that I'm supposed to be born with. And if them rights say that I have the right to my religion, and if I believe in a religion that doesn't agree with your lifestyle, you can't get mad at me constitutionally.
Well, you know, they're making a mistake about Latino people. You know, I grew up in Fresno and in California. You have a lot of Latino people out there. And the one thing that I do remember as a child growing up and all through my life, because everybody goes, they grab the Bible and they hold it to their heart and they talk about all of this stuff. Latino people are very family oriented and very God fearing. As a matter of fact, Sunday is a holy day to them. That is a day for church and family. That you don't go shopping. You don't go, you might go out drinking other nights of the week. When I was in Mobile, Alabama, the Baptist convention, the hotel where they stayed, the biggest bar nights for them throughout the year was when the Baptist convention was in the hotel room and room service. They had to hire extra people to do the room service. Oops, I'm sorry I told on you guys, but that's the way it is.
Because the Baptists don't drink, Adley. They don't drink at all. Yeah, according to the religion, you don't drink at all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But
okay, hold on, Bill Knight, because I got some political ideas to run past you. All right, here we go.
Okay.
This is my idea. Now tell me what you think of my idea. I want to start a new party. Okay, this is what the party's gonna be called. It's gonna be called the Common Sense Party. Here's how it goes. We're starting with this. This country was founded on the freedom of religion, and we're never going to take it away. But it's got to be a real religion. You can't just be making up new religions to be a weirdo. That's where we're going to start. Next, all you
That's a
people,
good idea. I have no problem with that.
Here's my next one. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to call the president of Mexico. I'm going to tell him this. You got to get your stuff together down there. What's Panama say?
They don't want the Constitution or religion. / Democrats.
All right. Then I'm gonna call the president of Mexico. I'm gonna tell him this. I'm gonna say, you gotta get your ass together. Because if you don't, there's gonna be consequences to pay. So all these cartels, all this fentanyl, all this garbage coming up to our country. If you want us to be doing any union contracts down there, if you want us to be sending any of our industry down there, you gotta clean it up. And if not, there's gonna be consequences. And he'll laugh at me, right? Like, we'll see if there's consequences. I said, okay, I told you there'd be consequences. Then the next thing I'm gonna do this, Bill Knight, I'm gonna say, okay, everybody who hates America in this country, raise your hand. All those bums who raise their hand. I hate this place. I hate America. I'm gonna say, okay, cool. All of you right there. I want you all in this big area, right? Whatever state it is. There's just a holding ground for now, Bill Knight. Don't worry about it. So I'm gonna put them right there, right? So that's the first thing I'm gonna do. And then I'm gonna get a head count. I'm saying, count them heads. However many Americans there are, right? Let's say it's 1 million. So okay, 1 million. All right, now here's what I want. I want 1 million of these hardworking migrant workers that would kill somebody to get into this country, then work 70 hours when they're here, and then send that money back to their family so that when they get back there, they'll have a better life and go to church together. I want those people. I want 1 million of those right in front of me. Okay, here's how this is going to go. We're doing an exchange. All you people, you still hate America? Yeah, I hate America. Cool, I got a place we're taking you. Oh, we're going to Cancun. No, you ain't going to Cancun. I'm dropping you right in TJ, fool. That's his problem now. Then I call the president of Mexico. I say, I told you, man, I ain't playing. And all those other cats, I'll be like, all right, now here's how this is going to work, folks. You guys are going to get taxed at a 40% rate. Now, I do understand that's a little egregious. However, what we're going to do is we're going to start you on a temporary work visa, and we're going to work you to citizenship. But you're going to be true American citizens, because I know that's what you want to be, and I know that's what you want your children to be. And that's how we get rid of these bums, and that's how we repopulate our country. What do you say, Bill Knight? You behind my political party?
I like your ideas. I have no problem with your ideas. I will say this. We are at a time in history when the America that you grew up in and you grew up in, and the way that we did things, going to the mall and shopping, going to the store and shopping, that is going the way of the Fagawi. And it's going to be gone. Things are going to change. And it's not that it's going to be worse. It's not that it's going to be better, but there's going to be change. But there are opportunists out there that I used to always say, there are the rich that believe that they control everything. They own this world, and we actually work for them. And you're seeing them rear their heads now, wanting this new world order and everything that's going on. You're seeing a lot of different things at play. So, there's a lot of work ahead to get America back on track. I agree. People sitting here, coming here to work, take the money and then take it back there. That's not what we're about. I don't even know that you look at all the money we're giving away. Where's this money coming from? We're not even on the gold standard anymore. So, You know, we can sit there and lie to ourselves. Oh, well, we can back it up. We back it up with our, our so-called might. And we probably are very strong, stronger than what we really know, but that's not the point. We're printing money. So if we can give away all this money and print all this money, what about the Vietnam veteran that, lost a leg
Preach
or
the
the wife?
gospel, Bill. That's what I'm saying.
We need to sit there. You served, you get a house. It might be, a certain level of house, but it's going to be a nice house, and we take care of our own, and we can take care of our needy and our homeless, our elderly people. We can take care of the young. There's probably a way to make sure that everybody gets the education that they want. We've proven that we can just willy-nilly give away this money, for what? We don't even have an end game in the Ukraine, and we're fighting a war, but the only people that profit are the people that sell the military equipment, which the politicians are plugged into. There's a big, long story that we could go down that rabbit hole. They talk about rabbit holes. There's so many of them in D.C. Well, there's snake holes, but either way, there's problems. So I agree with you. We got to get things, back on track, but what they will do to divide us, they will sit there. It's like we're being divided into tribes. Well, that's the LGBTQ tribe. That's the Asian tribe over there, and we own the black tribe, and we got the Chicano tribe, and the white people are all the problem. Well, that makes us a tribe too, and they're dividing us because you want to conquer, you divide, and we need to sit there and whatever we think our differences are, quit listening to the talking heads on TV that listen to their politician friends, because it's obvious they're reading a script. And we get together and take America back. And I'm not saying go take to the arms or anything like that, but we got to let them know that we're not going to vote for them. We're not going to put up with it anymore. And I think people are seeing it, but they're afraid to do anything about it.
Well, I think two things are going to happen here, Bill Knight, personally. And Adley, I want you to start spitting game, bro. Come on, you ain't talking enough.
Well, we're a little off what track of what you guys like to talk about. And
I love talking about this stuff.
The one thing I think about too is just the fact when you talk about the veterans and stuff too, it's just a shame. I tell Mike this when I ride my bike to the gym, there's just homeless encampment after homeless encampment after homeless encampment, and that's the shame, because we know veterans are there's a percentage, a large percentage of the homeless population is veterans, and then you see, like, man, it wouldn't take much what we're sending across the world to fund the Ukraine war, for example, and it's like, dude, just take a small piece of that and help out some of our own. It's just a shame. That's what hurts.
Well, there's probably a couple of things that we can do. We look at the homeless encampments. We look at the fact that there are maybe no jobs for these people, but maybe we can sit there and do something. We have cities because time has left them by. There are a lot of towns that were river towns because you needed to be on the river to, get your goods shipped, and things have changed.
God bless Pittsburgh,
somebody moved the
Pennsylvania.
keys. Yeah, but you could take some of these towns. Look, in California, there's what is it, that Salt Lake? It's kind of dried up, but there's structure there. So you sit there and go, you know what? We're going to put some federal dollars in here and rebuild this, and this will be your town, and we will give credits for industry to come in and bring in industry to give those people their own chance to build their own communities with pride and industry. It's just a wild thought, but I'm saying we have ghost towns. Let's reinvent them. Let's rebuild them, and let's give these people that are going, I've been left behind, and say, no, you haven't. Let's give you a shot. Let's get something there and get things going again. I mean, we need to get America back on track, but we don't. We give everything away.
What I think is going to happen, Bill Knight, is I think that we're going to go through a horrible recession in the next probably 2-ish years, it's probably going to hit us the next couple of months and then run through the next 2 years. And I also think that China is far more bankrupt than they want to recognize. And I think what we're going to see is that Russia's army isn't as strong as they think they are. China's economy isn't as robust as we believed it was. And then we're going to go through a strong recession. But I think in that recession, hopefully America will find revival for the church. And I think that's the biggest problem that we've got right now is we need revival, and we all act like we don't. You know,
There's a guy, he ran for president. He didn't get there. Ben Carson. You remember him?
Yeah.
Well, he's part of an organization now, but one of the things that I will say is that the young people, the kids, the teenagers, they're going, you know what? This is a bunch of horse crap. And so there are revival camps all over, the United States.
Where they're popping up now. Yeah, these college kids. Yeah.
And they're 75 million strong on the website. And they're finding that they're going, you know what? We've gotten away from our moral values. So we want to get, at least they're trying to right themselves. Now, they might slip away from it, but they see what's going on with this woke society and the perversions that are going on. And they're going, I don't want to be part of this. I just want a decent place, because they know they're going to get older. They know they're going to have to do certain things. Yeah, it's fun to have fun, but at some point in time, you got to grow up and be responsible. We talked about the irresponsible stuff. We've all been there.
Here's the problem, though, Bill Knight, is that we're still in a society that's shifting blame constantly, not wanting to clean up its messes, wanting to point the picture at the mess, but wanting to do nothing besides take a Facebook picture with it. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, what are we doing? We need revival. That's the only thing that's going to save this place. And I think if people are broke and there's revival, then we're straight. But like, I'm telling you, like, we're at a place because, dude, we just sold our birthrights for a bowl of beans, man. We have the Constitution, and every day it's getting chipped away at us so that we can have a talking refrigerator. Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? So
there was a picture, a stage publicity shot for Schumer. He was there talking about he wanted Fox to come after Tucker Carlson. And I'm like going, great. But in the background was the Constitution. I'm going, wait a minute now. You are standing in front of the Constitution saying, well, this isn't fair, what Tucker's doing. Yet in other speeches, you're saying that, these judges are standing by the Constitution and following it to the word. And I'm like going, so you want to do away with the Constitution when it's good for you, but you want to keep it, as a political backdrop for a photo op, so that you can sell your agenda. I mean, the Constitution was probably one of the most beautiful pieces of things ever written, framework for our country. And as a matter of fact, right here in the studio, I keep the Constitution.
We should all have a copy of that. I have a copy of my house, and I need to get a fresh copy. My dad sent me the Constitution when I turned 33, and he told me, and my dad was a first generation American, and he sent it to me, and he told me, he said, son, don't ever forget that this is what we're built on.
Yeah, that gives you your freedom. It doesn't, the Constitution doesn't see color of skin. It doesn't see your gender or your identity. What it sees is your rights and your freedoms that goes for everybody. Who sees your color, who sees your gender or your identity are people that want to divide and control. And that's what you need to know.
Did you hear when Marco Rubio went before, I think he was going before the Senate, because they were like attacking the Constitution, but he went before the Senate and he defended the Constitution. He did it so eloquently because he was saying, I'm not foolish enough to know that people weren't allowed the freedoms in this book or in this document. He says, but what I do know is we live in a country that every day is working its hardest to make sure that we actually live up to the document.
Yeah.
Let's not remove the document. And that's the thing, man. Don't get this is for me personally, to be totally honest with you, Bill Knight. The reason why I think it frustrates me so much is, you know, when you come from immigrant families and, you know, maybe illegal immigration, whatever the deal is, however you became an American, first couple of generations don't get to be American. It just is what it is. The third generation, you get to be American. I'm the first one that gets to be American in my family. And now that I get all the freedoms of America, you want to take it back because I don't believe that this fella's supposed to be dating, you know, whatever. Like, come on, man, because I don't want you teaching my kids this stuff at school. Come on, I just got these freedoms, bro. You can't take them away. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what frustrates me personally.
Well, one of the things you got to realize, and we don't teach the Constitution. We don't teach anything. It used to be when people wanted to, you know, come to America and they'd come through Ellis Island, then they had a certain amount of time. They had to go to class. They had to learn the colonies. They had to learn the presidents, all the basics that we had to learn when we were in school. And you go ask the average person that's born and raised here, you know, you just get a set of questions and you ask them 10 questions. They might get 1 or 2 right. Unless you hit that magic person that knows everything, they don't know it. And you know, and that saddens me because even the countries that we make fun of, they know everything about, they know their history. They know their rights. They know what they have. But yet we're America and we don't know what we have. That's sad.
I took constitutional law from a Supreme Court judge, Adley, when I was at Pitt.
Wow.
Yeah, because my undergrad when I was at Pitt, Bill, was legal studies. After I was out of radio, I came over here. I thought I was gonna be a lawyer. Apparently, it didn't work out. So, but my undergrad was legal studies. But I took constitutional law because I was like, I really want to understand this, and I think everybody should have to take that course. I really do.
I think you're right. I think, you know, we should know. And I will even admit, I mean, yeah, we took it, you know, in school and you had to learn it. You forget it, which is why I keep a copy of this here so that if I know, like when on the podcast, we're talking about certain things, or I see a story, somebody's attacking a certain amendment, you know, everyone thinks it's a big, long, you know, piece of, you know, diatribe. And, you know, each little amendment, it's just a couple of sentences.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
It's just the basic framework to go by. It's like the commandments of the United States. And, you know, we should know it, you know?
And we should be protected by it too, though.
Yeah, we should. We really should. And I mean, especially now with everything that's going on, and I'm all for change. I mean, you know, we grow as a society. We can argue whether, you know, we need to be driving the electric cars, the gas cars. Do we need to be doing something else? But even that's used just to divide us instead of doing what's right and doing what's right for the people. And we don't do that, you know, and, you know, the planet, it doesn't, you know, Mother Earth doesn't care whether we stay electric, we pollute it or not, because she's like a dog and we're the fleas on it. And at some point in time, she's going to get mad and shake us all off and start all over again. And we're done. So just remember that you're just a tick on the, you know, on the dog butt of Earth. You
Bill
know,
Knight, I always try to keep our time, and I always suck at it. But we're coming to the end of the show.
Yeah.
We always just have so much fun talking, everybody. That's the
It's
problem.
true. It's true. Just listening.
We're coming to the end of the show, and we like to do entertainment news at the end. But since you're our guest, you get to pick what story we do first. So, Adley, would you like to read Mr. Bill Knight some of these stories? And Bill, I want you to know it was nothing but a pleasure having you on this show. I really, really
it's great
appreciate
being
you
here.
coming on.
It's awesome.
I didn't know what to expect, and I was going like, well, you know, radio stories. I've got a ton of them.
Oh, I love them. I love them, man. Who doesn't
but
love them?
between DJs, you know, we've all been through them, and yeah, after a while, you get tired of telling your stories. But there's crazy stuff going on in the news. I'll throw you one. I forget what it is. You could look it up real quick. There's no. There's a new pandemic out there.
Oh no.
Oh no, I'm serious.
Oh boy.
I probably already got it.
I hope not. It's uncontrollable diarrhea, according to the CDC.
I did get it. Oh my god! No, just kidding.
No, well, I got diarrhea of the mouth, so there you go. But yeah, I'm like going, gee, so do you have to wear a mask and a diaper, or how does this
All right,
work?
all right, come on, Bill. Let's get to the end of the show. Adley, read them some stories there.
You know what? I forgot about this one earlier, but I remembered it while we're talking. And the headline is "World's First AI-Driven Radio Station is here." So that's headline one.
All right.
Bill Knight invented it. That's why.
No, it wasn't me.
I'm just kidding.
And number two, this one's questionable because I don't know if you guys are into this stuff, but Funko Pops, we know those little pieces, little toys they make, little figurines.
Yeah.
They've had to throw away $36 million worth of inventory.
Why?
Because they can't store it. So that's the headline.
Well, because nobody's buying right now because people are broke.
And then this is the other one. Me and Mike talked about this one. Florida man dies from brain-eating amoeba after using tap water for his sinus rinse. So you got to pick one of those titles.
Well, I'm going to go with either the brain amoeba. What was the first one?
The world's first AI-driven radio station.
Well, you guys kind of are a radio pop culture. Let's talk about everything. Let's hear about this. Let's see how is it different than what we have now? Oh, I know what it is. Let me see if I can guess.
It's different than we have now.
Well, here's the crazy
I
part.
bet you the AI is the actual disc jockey. The computer will actually sit there, do everything for you, and it thinks on its own. And that'll be fun hearing a computer talk up a record with its own original thought.
Oh my gosh!
Yes, it's a whole radio station, and we know AIs. They now can write essays, answer complex questions, and they've asked why can't they run a radio station? And that's the question. A media company called, this company too, Bill, Futuri, out of Ohio, wanted to test.
Yep.
Now, quote, Futuri is revolutionizing the audio industry with the launch of Radio GPT, the world's first AI-driven localized radio content solution. Radio GPT combines the power of GPT-3 technology with Futuri's AI-driven targeted story discovery and social content system. Topic Pulse, another one we know, as well as AI voice tech to provide an unmatched localized radio experience for any market, any format. So it scans Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and more than 250,000 other sources of news and information to identify which topics are trending in a local market. It then proceeds to use GPT-3 technology to produce a script for on-air use while using AI voices, and they turn that script into compelling audio.
Now, the AI voices, there was a guy that called me about a year and a half ago and said, will you read this script? And it was going to be good money for the script. I said, well, what is this for? Well, we got about, 15 pages. You got to read, maybe a few more. And I'm like going, well, I don't know if the math really works out now that you say that. What happens is, well, you do sign a waiver that we have the right to use your voice.
No.
And yeah, that's what they're doing is
Yeah.
there's some suckers out there going, I'll take that quick hit money. And then what happens is you'll be sitting there one day, and you're sitting there going, drive the new Chevy EV. And hey, that's my voice. Where's my check? No, that's the AI mimicking your voice. And,
that's the rub right now with AI is you have to have a human voice first. And Bill Knight's right, because if they get your voice though, then they can
own
mimic it. Yeah. But
well,
if they don't, but when they make the computer voice, it still sounds whack, dude. That's how come they need Bill Knight.
Yeah, but they can go back and get Orson Welles, Gallo will serve no wine before it's time. And the big boy, he was an interesting character, but actually he never could read a script all the way through. He would get about one sentence in and who wrote this blah, 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 blah script, and, it was never his fault that he just couldn't read it. So, some poor guy back in the days of before computers had to sit there with a grease pencil and a razor blade.
That would suck.
And put this clown together. But he had a great voice, and he made a lot of money with it. A brilliant man. But That's why I say, radio for any of the radio broadcasters out there, and even anybody that's just listening, going, well, what they like is to hear real people talking, real conversation. So if instead of just keeping it generic, put a little pizzazz into it, put a little uh, Adlai-isms in it, or sketchisms that make it your own. And all of a sudden, the AI will sound good, but it won't sound as good as you because it can't think the way you do.
Here's the issue,
the
Bill.
way that I do. That's kind of the computer would shut down right away.
Yeah, the issue is it's cheaper than you.
Well, that's debatable.
And it can be in 50 markets.
Yeah.
And
it is
can replace
debatable,
50 people.
I don't know what.
My
my problem is I have an attitude, It's like, you want me to read? Come on.
Dude, but here's the part that sucks. Didn't you guys used to love this when you were younger, to drive through different cities so you could hear different radio?
Well, that's how we used to
loved it.
get ideas,
Oh, yeah,
The PD would
definitely.
sit there and go, yeah, I'm going on a road trip. Where are you going? Well, I'm going to go up Interstate 10. Then I'm going to cut up 55, and you'd hit St. Louis, and you'd listen to some radio station, and you'd make notes of maybe positioning liners or contest, and then or disc jockeys. You would hear something, and you might roll tape on it, and then you'd bring it back, and you had a fresh bunch of ideas to kind of freshen up your radio station, and it came from all different little towns and areas. Myron Cope, not Myron Cope. What's his name? He was at WTAE, and he was on KDKA. I think with the KDK. No, I forget his name. He was at JAS for a while too, but he came in and he actually got a TV show out of his whole deal, and he was just kind of, I think, in Boise, Idaho, and he just kind of said, he was a howdy kind of guy, but somebody listened to him that drove through and said, oh, I kind of like this guy. So he got on KDKA, and then a big time LA manager that came to Pittsburgh said, oh, we got to get him. And so they hired him for a big contract. And then he got a TV show to boot with it. He didn't have the numbers, but he got there that way because somebody heard him and said, great guy. And, we did mention Myron Cope. Myron Cope, he didn't have a radio voice.
Not at all.
Or anything. But, it was unique.
It was authentic.
Yeah, authentic is the word.
That's what everything. That was the cool part about radio when you go through those cities, is it was authentic. Because like Stealing Bits, by the time me and Adler were on radio, like the internet existed, so we could kind of figure that one out. But like listening to other jocks in other places, and just the way, or sometimes just their format, sometimes their playlist, it was so dope. But now, you know what I mean? Now it's all cookie cutter.
Oh yeah, it is. And that's the way radio got, and it's lazy, and that's why there are older people, me included, that can sit there and find work doing things. Like I work out of the studio at home, and I've got 48 markets that I do stuff for, and that starts at 9 a.m. after the podcast. And at noon, I'm done because it's done in virtual time, which is a weird thing to do because I had to reteach myself how to do radio. But then, when I do the generic breaks, I sit there and I find a way to tie this song into this song. And if I can tie them both together in a nice little package, it's kind of fun. It's fun for the listener. And because it's not live, I can manipulate the song on every individual radio station, and people go, damn, you know what? You talk up those intros, you hit it just right. How do you do that? Years of experience, I got to tell you, it's not easy being me. But you do that, and then the only time that I ever have a problem.
Do you do it this way? Is it like one line, and then at the end you go, KRQQ on CNBC?
No, I could probably pull up the software and you know and go through my private portal and pull it up, but I don't think you'd be able to see it. But what I do is I'll see if it's a talk over, record. They don't seg where they talk over, and I don't even try to. I should know these songs by now, so I'll come out of the one thing and I'll do whatever I'm doing, and I'll do the branding statement because the talkovers are generic. That plays on every station. And I do that and I do a bit there so that nobody really realizes that it's not personalized. Now, some stations say, no, I want you to personalize that one. And then I'll use that same bit that I use in every other station, personalize it.
But personally, yeah.
Yeah, because it's the same break, I've
Yeah,
got
you
one
can't hear
market.
it. I was gonna
Yeah,
say too, Bill. Oh, go ahead. Then I got something to add.
Okay. I was just going to say, I have one market where I have these two classic hit stations. Now they're 90 miles apart and they're on the same damn frequency, but different companies. So I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. Now, when I do this break at the 08, and then I do it over here, somebody driving along the highway there, and all of a sudden the one fades out, picks right up and plays the other. It's like,
Wow.
okay, unless they're a little bit off, but it does that. But then, and then I do they decide how many personalized breaks they have, and anything more that I talk about would be giving away the recipe, and we're not supposed to do that.
No,
But the
no,
point
no.
is, we make it sound local. We have fun with it, and that's the whole point.
Yeah,
We
there
try
was
to
a
make it
day.
sound fun.
There was a day when it's like, no, we got to sound live. We got to sound live. But I think that day now, I think I think people know now that people aren't in there because you'll
We
hear
gave
those.
up that. Yeah, we gave up the ghost on that.
Yeah, and the you'll hear breaks like in the state when I'm cruising around town, and I know there are obviously trackers from wherever market where they're in. You can hear so and so radio, and then their break comes in, but it's them on both, and you're like, sounds really choppy, but you just
Yeah.
kind of like, I mean, there's probably one guy, segueing all these voice tracks in like 30 markets, just like, I got 8 hours to do this and I got to finish. So, you know,
No, not really.
So,
I mean, I'm, I never thought in a day I would sit there and do, 70 to 90 breaks, but I do. And, but I crank it up and I just start doing them, I go through I do the generics first, then I go and do the branded ones. And I just go one station at a time, one break at a time. And when I do it, I play it. I'm going, yep, sounds good. Send next one. And I just keep going because I did find that when you're doing that kind of voice tracking, it is better just to keep moving. And then you get a little bit surly in your head.
Yeah, I bet.
And you know what I'm talking about. But actually that adds to it because now all of a sudden you're in this loopy mode that you're doing good radio, but you've got some little funnies that you normally wouldn't do. You're instead of being all stiff and doing this, you kind of fall into it. It's almost like Tim Conway doing it. Which he did come from radio. He did a radio show.
Yeah, it's true.
And
His son did also. His son was also on radio.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Tim, and you got to love Tim when he was on the Carol Burnett show because he would sit there and, he would do the one show straight, but he would never rehearse when he wanted to throw him off. He didn't even know what he was going to do, and you see those bits and they used to make them all mad. And then they realized that's what people liked. So they actually they'd take those things and edit them out and made a special show based on that. And, Vicki Lawrence.
The Mama's Family.
Yeah. And all of them, they
ate it up.
They had no idea where, he was coming from. And sad thing is, and neither did Tim. So. But that's fun, because you're watching it on TV and you're just like, nah, you listen. It was fun.
All right, Adlai, you want to do one more story and then we'll wrap it up?
Yeah, we'll squeak out one more here. Let's see. Oh, this is okay. Here's another one. I got those other titles still. The guy dies from the brain eating amoeba from cleaning out his sinuses. Still got that one. And we still got the
You really want to do that one, bro. You brought that one up a lot.
Yeah.
that one, or we could do, but let's add this one. A missing man found in Shark, and he was identified by a tattoo.
What was the
On
one
a-
I sent you?
Did you send me that one?
No, I sent you
You
something.
sent me
I
some
can't
other
remember.
one. Let me see. Oh, you know what? I didn't even. While you guys are thinking about that, let me
No, let's not
see.
do
This
that bit
was
tonight because it's too
the
late.
the alligator.
Oh yeah,
Wait,
open
let me
that
see.
up. That's a great one.
Let me see if I can get this going here.
It's just 10 alligator stories, Bill Knight. Like how people like had alligator encounters.
All
Oh,
right.
okay. Yeah, so we could do this one. Let's see now. Okay, there's a bunch of them all in one. Okay,
Yeah,
see,
dude, that's what I said.
I
It's like
see.
10 or something like that.
Okay,
Just pick one that's good.
okay, I'm gonna read this one. So there was an alligator that was abandoned, and it leads to bad news for a good Samaritan tipster. Now, a man abandoned a 3-foot juvenile alligator in a black storage container, which he left in an empty lot next to his New Jersey home after his parents forbid him from keeping the animal. Now, he and his parents were facing charges for falsifying a police report, according to the police department. The alligator was left in below freezing temperatures, and that led animal safety authorities to search for the person or persons responsible. Now, the charges have been brought on the man's friend, the one who obtained the alligator from a reptile expo in Pennsylvania, for violating New Jersey's prohibition on keeping dangerous exotic animals as pests. So the thing's frozen in ice.
Well, dude, how scary would that be? First of all, who gets an alligator for a pet?
You used to get those at actually I remember they used to sell them a long time ago when you'd go to a state fair. They used to be able to get them for a couple of bucks. And then the kids would-
Alligators?
How many years?
No, I said
Alligators, yeah, you could get 'em-
alligators.
yeah, you could. They used to sell them at the state fair. They did in California, and I'm going, Mom, why would they? She goes, you don't want an alligator because then it's going to get big and you're going to have to flush it down the toilet. And how many times have you heard about an alligator in a sewer system?
Yeah.
Because some kids go, goodbye, Crocky.
An
You
idiot
know?
would sell an alligator to a child.
Look,
$2 is $2.
Hey, yeah, then give the
You don't
kid a
think this-
gator,
This is
Grow
the most
yourself a
idiotic-
pair of shoes, kid.
That's bananas. Are you kidding me? How big was the alligator, Adlai?
It was 3 foot, and it was a juvenile, so it wasn't full grown.
So he actually, he kind of raised that gator. And I got to tend to believe that an alligator is, an alligator. It doesn't really care, that you feed it because, wait, you didn't bring me dinner? Your hand looks pretty good.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a hand sandwich.
What kind of idiot would want to own an alligator?
Or if you saw that black tub on the side of the road and you're like, I wonder what's in there. Would you open it? I mean, you'd be like, I'm going to check this thing out. Let me see. And it's an alligator that's probably hungry.
All right.
I don't know.
All right. So when
Yeah.
Danny Hill was on the show, Bill Knight, I asked him this question. I'm going to ask you this question right now.
Uh-oh.
All right. Would you rather, Adlai, you got to answer it this time. All right. Would you rather, okay, like this dude, like he caught you, right? You're a spy or something. I don't know what the problem is, but he's keeping you all tied up. Would you rather have this where he has an alligator on a chain and the alligator's real close so he could almost bite you, right? And you're all tied up like that? Or would you rather have an alligator in your bathtub when you're going to the bathroom at night, but it's only like a 2-foot alligator, like maybe a 3-foot alligator? Which of the two would you rather have happen?
Who are you asking?
I'm asking you, Bill.
Would I rather have an alligator while I was going to the bathroom? I could see some problems with that, but he's in the bathtub while I'm going to the bathroom.
He's small. Yeah, and he's small. He's a little guy.
Yeah, but he can still get over the tub.
Yeah, probably.
I'm going to look really funny running down the hall with my pants around my ankles.
Or the other scenario is you're being held, by terrorists or something. I don't know who's holding you, but they got an alligator that can almost get to you, but he's a big old giant alligator. He's on a chain, and the chain keeps pulling, and you're like, oh my God, but you can't get away, right? Because they have you in some sort of corner.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the little alligator because I might have a better chance.
That's what I said.
That makes sense.
You
That
know,
does make
because
sense,
the
actually.
big
Yeah.
alligator, he breaks the chain. He's going to go pretty damn fast. And I can move if I have to move, but probably not as fast as the alligator. So,
Yeah.
you know,
When you lived in Louisiana, there was crocodiles, alligators everywhere, right?
yeah, I never really encountered him. I heard about, people driving along, they ran into him. Now, I used to live in Florida, and, like on a Sunday, you'd take the Harley out, you get up in the morning. I lived in Plantation, and I would, cruise on up and get on there's a highway that cuts across the basin there to go to the other side, and I might go over to Marco Island or something like that, get lunch, and I had a change of clothes if I wanted to go to the beach or whatever, and then head back that evening. But I can remember a couple of times I would sit there and go, you're riding along highway, marsh, and there are gators there. But I remember one time I was looking down the highway and I'm going, wait a minute. There's something big that stretches all the way across that road.
Holy cow.
And he's just sitting there. So I kind of like slowed down a little bit and I'm going like, okay, I can't go across that medium to get to the other side to get.
Oh boy.
So I decided it was not a good day to go to Marcus Island. So I turned around and went the wrong way until I got to the exit up there where I could cross over and go back. And I went, somewhere else because I said, I'm not going to chance a gator. I'm not going to jump the gator, not on a Harley. You're not going to do that. What are you going to do? I mean, I had a dog chase me one time in Texas, and I was sitting there cruising along, and all of a sudden I'm going through this little town, and all of a sudden, whoa, 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 here comes this dog, and I'm like going, I haul off, and that dog almost caught up with me as I'm sitting there shifting through the gears, getting this puppy rolling. And I remembered I sat there and said, I had to get gas at that gas station. I'm going to have to get gas again. So I stopped the town before to get gas. And I said, I'm going to, just before I get up there, go over 2 blocks and go through, the other street.
Go around the dog.
If that dog wasn't there.
Oh,
so here I am again. So the animals and motorcycles and alligators just don't mix.
Wait, Bill Knight, you still ride or no?
Yeah, I'm between bikes now, but I sold mine a couple of years ago, and I said, I got to get a new one.
I want to buy a motorcycle, but I'm afraid because I'm 50. I'm like, I don't want to get hurt.
Do you have a license?
No, I was going to get my license.
Check the community college. College. They usually have a free course there.
Yeah, they do.
You take that. They're going to teach you everything. And by the time the week or 2 is done, a lot of times they can sign the little certificate. You take it over to the DMV.
You get the license. Yeah, they stamp your license.
And they also give you a discount on your insurance. And then, getting the Harley, it's a nice thing to have, but I got to tell you something. It's not all that in a bag of chips. You can get a pretty nice bike.
No, I don't want a Harley. I want the Husqvarna Vitpillen. It's it looks like an old cafe racer.
Yeah.
But they make it in a 350cc. So I just want enough speed that I can go around town and maybe go out into the woods a little bit. I'm not looking for to hurt myself.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I would say probably you want a little bit more oomph to it, but get
they
about
make it in a 650, but I like the 350 because I want to be able to go 60 miles without having to open all the way up. Because if you get a 250, you're barely getting to 60. But
I always found that the least amount I ever had was a 650. Did a 750. That actually did pretty good. When you have 1400 cc, that's pretty good. Then I had a Yamaha for a while, but I got the big forget what it was called now. It almost looked like it was an old Cadillac with the lights and everything on it. It was a cool bike. Rode something or other, but it had the biggest production engine on a bike at the time. And the bad thing about that is it's not really you, it's other people, because like when you ride a bike, you don't turn the handlebars. To turn, you lean. That's how you get your turn going. And if you get somebody that's stupid in front of you and you didn't catch what they were doing, you do have to turn that bike, and you are going to put your foot down. And you don't. I've never laid down a bike. Don't want to. But that son of a gun weighed so much. If you would lay it down, it's like the old. What was the bike that they used to put the 350 engine on it? I'm like going, you lay that bad boy down. Well, they had the V6, the Valkyrie. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It was
bike.
the Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right,
nice
Adlai,
bikes.
come on. You got to tell us your answer. Either the alligator in the bathtub or the alligator on the chain.
Alligator in the bathtub because
I'm asking
Bill's
Adlai.
going bathtub. I think I'm going
bathtub. I'm with you.
That
Bill.
makes sense. That makes sense too. However, it could get out of the bathtub, right? Versus you're hoping this chain holds up on a regular size or big alligator snapping at you and stuff too. So I don't like either situation, to be honest, but I think with the smaller alligator, you're going to have kind of a chance. But either way, if one of them bites you, it's not long before you're done.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Well, you know what? There's probably a towel rack right in front of you. Grab the biggest towel there is. That way you can throw it over the little monster's face, its snout, and its eyes. So you can get, while it's sitting there trying to shake it off, you can shake it out of there and get the hell gone.
I bet you Bill Knight's got a bunch of guns all around his house, hidden everywhere too, like John Wick. Bam, bam, bam. You start shooting the alligator. Like, I gotta get to Bill Knight's house and get a gun. I gotta kill this alligator.
Gun? No. I don't have guns. What would make you think a guy like me would have guns?
You go to Bill Knight's house, Adelaide, it looks like the Matrix, dude. It's like just a bunch of guns. You're like, oh my goodness, where these guns come from?
I could go in the other room right now and get one that would,
take care of the alligator. That's like he's not afraid of the alligator, Adelaide. He's got a gun in the bathroom. He's like, oh, that's the toilet gun. Bam, bam. That's what you get, alligator. Bang.
Yeah, I had to go get the 454, the Rhino gun upstairs. That would. It's got the big scope on it. It's like, oh yeah, you don't. They call it the Raging Bull, is what that gun is, and yeah, that's a pretty mean gun.
All right, guys. Well, Bill Knight, where can they find you on social media, and where can they find that podcast of yours?
Well, okay, if you go to itsanotherday.com, that's the website. Okay. You can also find Jim and Bill, It's Another Day, on Podbean. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us, various places like that. You can find Bill Knight on Facebook because everyone goes, all you do is link your podcast anymore. I'm going like, I'm so tired of what everybody's posting out there on Facebook. It used to be a fun thing, and now it's just like, a lot of stupid stuff. So I just use it to.
How often do you broadcast? How often do you broadcast the podcast?
We do it 5 days a week. We do 1 hour a day, every day. So tomorrow morning at 7:15 in the morning, East Coast time, I'll be on I'll be on the Zoom with Jim, and we'll look at our notes and we'll compare and say, oh, that's a big story. And if we have an opinion on something where we can, like you and I got into things, because that's what people like to hear. They want to hear your thoughts. Oh, I agree with that. Oh, no, I don't know about that. People want to hear that they're not alone. That's the important thing. Yeah. They want to hear that they're not the only one feeling the same way. So they do the podcast thing and they listen to you, and it's fun. I mean,
I'm having fun. I like doing the podcast. Yeah. What about you, Adlai?
I do. Yeah, it's fun.
It lets you be yourself. You have a voice.
Yeah, it's true. We do have a voice. Yeah. All right. So that's where you can find Bill Knight, you guys, and you know where you can find us. Find us on TikTok. Find us on YouTube. And I know it's a Chinese spy software, Bill Knight, but we have a lot of followers on there. And find us on Facebook. And that's it. And we will see you next Thursday. And Adlai, thank you so much for introducing us in the world to Bill Knight.
Thank you, Bill. Yeah,
and,
thank you.
Bill, hang out for 1 second. We'll talk to you in the green room. Bam.
Sounds good.
Done.